This is part 2 of a 2-part interview with local band members of 1969, The Tribute. Enjoy.
So I got my first guitar for a birthday. I think I was probably 10 or 11. It was one of those really cruddy guitars that after playing it for 10 minutes, your fingers were bleeding. But I don't know, just something connected with me and the guitar. And the guitar came with a couple lessons. And so I took the lessons and I had a little bit of, this is a G chord, this is a C chord. And so I just took that, and a couple of friends in junior high school said, hey, we're putting together a band. Do you want to come over and play? So by that time I'd gotten a little better guitar, and so I was starting to play a little bit. And, once the first time you play in front of an audience and they appreciate what you do, it's like it kind of sparks something in you, and you think, oh, that's kind of a cool job. I think I'd like to do that a little bit more. And so, and then my older brother was into the Beatles, and so I had a good supply of Beatle records that I could try and copy. And, so I started playing a few bands in high school, and then out of high school, I was playing in a couple of bands. I've been involved in church bands. I've been involved in cover bands. This is the first tribute band that we've done. And I'd say it kind of goes back 40, 50 years, 50 years to think about,
Yeah, so do either of you write your own music as well? Or is that a direction you're ever thinking of taking?
I've written
Ballad of Anza.
I've written songs, but it was always for a purpose. I proposed to my wife with a song on the beach, and but I think it would be really fun. I've thought about in the future is doing writing some period 1969 music, maybe putting some, not too much. We're paying tribute to those artists, but I think it'd be fun to see what we come up with and say, hey, if we were around in that 69, what would we have written?
Yeah.
So that's definitely on the horizon.
I have a friend down in, where is he? Just outside of Escondido. He has a studio, and his studio is set up. They actually record to analog tape. So now everything is done digitally, but he lays it down to analog tape like they did back in the 60s, a 2-inch.
Yeah.
2-inch
before Dolby
tape.
And everything else.
Yeah. And he's got microphones that he paid tens of thousands of dollars that were period correct in the 50s and the 60s. So we went down and we did a little studio recording there. And so it was kind of cool to be, okay, this is how they recorded back in the 60s.
Kind of walking in their shoes.
We did, yeah. Mm-hmm. We did 2 songs, Fortunate Son by Creedence and No Matter What by Badfinger. And so it was kind of fun to re-record, some of those hits using the technology back in that day.
We even, he had a Leslie there for the key stuff, like just some really cool period equipment. So what you hear on our recordings are really period correct
and old. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Leslie speaker that spins around and kind of gives that warbly. Yeah.
It gives it the wah-wah sound from the piano. So you would speed up the speaker. So now everything's digital. You can mimic that. But this was recorded with a real spinning speaker.
Okay.
Really fun. I learned
B3
a lot.
Hammond organ, and it was.
Wow, for some reason I just had a Monty Python moment. I imagined the 2 coconuts coming together. Click, 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 click.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it makes you an honest musician to record that way, because there's no fixing it in the mix. When it goes to a tape recorder, it's like what you lay down is what you're going to hear. So mistakes and all, it's all in there. And you just either you redo it or you live with it. And
well, that's what they did. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
People laughing in the background and the intros, it's just interesting twist to all of
Yeah,
that.
listening to these songs so deep, you can hear the end of All Right Now. They've got the claves going. The song ends, and you can still hear somebody's hitting those claves still, and it's in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, that should have ended, a little while ago. But at the end of the song, it's just these claves.
Somebody nodded off at the editing
Yeah.
table. Yeah, that's just too funny.
Or on Foxy Lady with Jimi Hendrix. After the guitar solo, and he's going to sing again, you hear him clear his voice. He goes, ah! They just left it in. They didn't figure all the digital stuff was going to be amplifying it of today. And
right.
So
I must say, I did see your CD sitting around at the table here in the studio last time we had our meeting. Have you thought about maybe pressing vinyl?
I would love to.
I would absolutely love to. So
Because there are places now that are making vinyl records.
Yeah. I definitely want to do that. So I've been putting together merchandise for us too. Okay. So I'm a special ed teacher in my day job, and I have students that are adults with disabilities, and they've helped me make a few things that we'll sell at our merch table. My class makes beanies, so we've got some tie-dye beanies, and they've made some necklaces with our logo on it. And so, people that didn't come dressed up are going to have the opportunity to get some really cool gear. Okay. But part of that, absolutely, I would love to have our songs on a vinyl, because how better to pay tribute to it. That's how people listen to music.
Yeah.
Or a 45.
Complete with the dust and the scratch in the.
Yeah, you just can't duplicate that sound.
45,
just hearing the needle on there, it's awesome.
Well, maybe find a 3D printer or do something like that.
Yeah.
Press your.
Yeah, I've looked into some companies that do it.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna buy it in bulk because they're pretty pricey to do. But if you buy them in bulk, obviously the price comes down.
Right.
I have a T-shirt, and you remember the little insert that they put in the 45 so you could play it on your record player?
Yeah.
It's got that on the front of the T-shirt, and I was wearing that around, and a younger guy come up to me and says, "Whose logo is that?" I was like, "Well, that's not a logo."
Yeah.
I had to explain it to him. It's a 45 insert, so you could play it on a record player.
And he's like, "What's a 45?"
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What's a 45? Yeah. What's a record player?
Yeah, there's this connection with those things. I was into baseball cards as a kid, and I thought they were going to be worth all this money. And when I became an adult, nobody was really doing that. The internet came out, and you could just look up the stats on a player, But as time progressed, I kept all those cards, and I got them out like maybe a year or two ago. The feeling that you have of holding a baseball card in your hand, it just took me back. And I think it's the same thing with
Did it smell like bubble gum?
It sure did.
Yeah.
I used chewing gum, listening to music, and having all those baseball cards out on my floor.
Right. But the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, anyone who wants to come and listen to 1969 again either lived it or somehow there's a connection.
There's a connection.
Yeah, it'd be great to let them take a piece of that home with them.
Exactly.
Dropping that needle on the vinyl and hearing the bacon sound. There's just nothing like it. The warmth of that coming through the speakers.
Right.
Yeah.
This is part 2 of a 2-part interview with local band 1969, The Tribute.
I mean, I'd like to get to know you better. So you're a special ed teacher.
Yes.
And what do you do?
I build mid-century modern custom furniture.
What?
In my
Amazing.
I have a shop right outside my cabin in Idlewild. And then I do that part-time, and then also part-time, I work at my son's company as a safety compliance manager.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It's dealing with government and
MSDS sheets.
SDS sheets. And stormwater samples and air samples, and there's.
Yeah, I was in biomedical research for a while, so I know all that stuff.
So
Right, that's the nice thing with the music.
The furniture building is a lot funner than the safety compliance.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So do you work in walnut and teak then?
I do. Not teak. Teak is pretty much hard to get nowadays, just because.
Find an old deck chair somewhere and piece it together again.
Yeah, they you just can't find it. The government has outlawed getting it from the sources that we were getting it because of the child labor. So you can't get it from Vietnam, and teak is really hard.
So what are the elephants going to do now if they can't hold these big timbers around?
That's right. But I do a lot in walnut and cherry, and it's a lot of fun. And I love that era of, the mid-century modern with
well, I'm Swedish. I
legs.
grew up, so it's like, and I see mid-century modern now, and my heart just goes.
Yeah. Well, that's what my grandparents. I grew up, with shag carpet, green shag carpet, and mid-century tables and kidney bean tables, and
all that really neat stuff.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Wow. Well, definitely interested in hearing more about that. Maybe another interview right there.
You're right. Yeah.
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 So, how long have you been a special ed teacher?
I think I'm starting my 23rd year.
Well, congratulations to that, because
Thank you.
there could be hair pulling, I'm sure.
Thank you. I really love it. I started after the military. I met his daughter, and I just wanted to spend time with her, and she was like, well, I'm going to college. So I said, well, I'm going to college too. So I took a job as an instructional assistant in a class with kids with disabilities, just so I had the time to go to college. And I took the job for that purpose, and day one, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, I really love these kids. Like, this is very different from everything I knew about school, and just felt real passionate about it. So it's going on 23 years, which is hard to believe. I've been doing that longer than half my life. So.
Wow. So are your students supportive of your new endeavor?
They think it's so
excited for
funny.
you?
They think it's so funny when I sing. I don't know why they get embarrassed. I don't get embarrassed, but they love it. They do. And then they're seeing the videos and the things we're putting it out, and they're so excited. I'll have quite a few students there, and
very cool.
and the staff, and like I said, they've been making stuff. So some of the proceeds from the stuff that they've made goes right back to our program. So that way we can kind of include them in the process, and it's been really fun.
Wow, that sounds like a really great idea, though. Like you said, just putting it back into the school.
Yeah, it's fun.
So tell me more.
A couple weeks ago, I got a phone call, and it was a phone call from out of the area, a number I didn't recognize, and I almost didn't answer it. But I did pick it up, and on the other end, a guy says, are you associated with the band 1969? And I said, I am. And he said, well, I was just on YouTube, and I saw a video of you guys, and I went to your website, and I wanted to call you. And I said, okay. So you got me? So what can I help you? He said, I graduated in 1969 from Hemet High School. I now live in San Luis Obispo. And he said, all the stuff I'm hearing from you guys, it takes me right back to when I was in high school. And he said, it just brought back so many great memories of my high school days, living in Hemet, going out to San Bernardino and cruising E Street, and just all this, he said, it just took me right back to that. And I said, oh, that's great. So, we have a show coming up. Why don't you come out? And he's like, I would love to. So I gave him the information on the show, and a couple days later, I got an email from him, said, I'll see you guys at your show. He said, it just, takes me back to my high school days. And so I thought that was really cool that he made that connection, and that we kind of had a little part in that little nostalgia going back to connecting with his high school days.
Well, hopefully he brings his high school sweetheart with him. And then, of course, the grandkids, and expose them to what is really good music, right?
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
My mom graduated in 1969. I have her yearbook, so if you're interested in seeing it, come to one of our shows, and you can see my mom's yearbook. Oh, yeah. My mom will be at the next show. She lives out in Texas, but I got a lot of family coming out.
Okay.
They're coming out. And speaking of that, if you want to find tickets or anything like that, our website is www.1969thetribute.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching 1969 The Tribute. If anybody, you were talking about being in the area, if anybody listening, we'd love to connect with your listeners. If they want to contact us for booking, we'd love to play in the area. If you want to give them your phone number too.
Yeah, you can reach me on my cell phone, which is 951-757-0139, or you can find us, you can send us an email at 1969thetribute@gmail.com.
Sweet, nice and easy. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all 1969 The Tribute. Whether it's on Facebook or Gmail, you can find us just by putting that in. And we'd love to hear from people. We'd love to, because not only are we nostalgic about that era and that time, but we'd love to share it with the people that are coming to see us and interact and connect and do all that kind of cool stuff.
That's the part we love is, just sharing the music with people and seeing their reactions. And
Exactly.
getting to know people through
And,
it.
I think people are going to enjoy the fact of being able to dress up to the era.
Oh, yeah.
That
Right.
appropriate design. I'm sure there people have some clothes sitting back in their closet that may not fit them, but they'll certainly try to get
we
those
encourage you,
jeans
man.
on.
We see that from the stage. I'm telling you, you're going to get the best show.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just going to pump us up. If we know you're digging it,
Now, you guys are wearing costumes as well, right?
We
You're
do.
wearing
Yeah,
era
we're
appropriate.
full
Do you do
yeah.
a costume change in between? I mean, you must take a break in a 2-hour set.
There is a break. We don't do a costume change. We could.
You could do it in 90 seconds, that.
That's true. That's true. But we do include some multimedia, so there'll be some clips from a little bit of the moon landing was in July. Actually, July 20th, the day of our show in Hemet. That was in 1969. It was July 20th.
July 20th. So what a great
the
debut
moon
for
landing.
us.
I think that was
And that was
fantastic.
happenstance. And I was going through the videos and I'm like, July 20th? I'm like, no way. What a great
Yeah.
So if there's any Martians or anybody in the area, just come on in. We'll give them free admission to the show.
Well, I'm Goldie. I'm the keep Anza weird person. I'm the person all behind
we're
that
in
and the
good
Goldie.
company.
So, don't be surprised if Goldie shows up
Yeah.
in all her glory.
Yeah. We tried to get Lance Armstrong, but I guess he was busy. So
No, not Lance
Lance
Armstrong.
Armstrong.
The other was Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
His dad's right. That's right.
Yeah, Lance. He'd have to bike his way.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a long ride.
That's right. That's right. One small step for man.
Exactly. I think that is just too cool, though. But what a way. Hopefully it's a full moon that night. I don't know. I'll have to check the calendar.
Well, we're hoping for a full house.
Absolutely. I don't see why not.
There might be a bad moon rising if you stay for the
Bad
second
moon
half.
rising, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That might make an appearance that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is fantastic. I'm stoked. I'm definitely going to put it in my calendar and see if I can't make it up there.
Yeah.
And my son, who is 33, just adores, the old rock and roll and all that old music. So see if I can't drag him along too.
Yeah. We'll hope to give him an authentic experience as if he was there. So
Exactly.
1969.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
right.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you then.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
This was part 2 of a 2-part interview with band members from the local band 1969 The Tribute. Catch a replay of part 2 on Sunday.
KOYT 97.1.